back. WNST, not only baseball and hockey and college football, but certainly the National Football League. This guy calls them the way he sees them out in Las Vegas. He's done it for a long time as a handicapper and, of course, made famous in the movie Two for the Money with Matthew McConaughey and Al Pacino. We welcome Brandon Lang back on. You can find him as well as an all-access one-day free trial pass at BrandonLang.com. We enjoy talking some pigskin with him as we head into Week 5. Dude, this Ravens-Raiders game, again, I don't know how you bet American money on this kind of a game. Backup quarterback, Ravens going on the road. Brandon, I don't know if you see any sort of opportunity around here, but if you see opportunity on the Ravens, you're seeing something we haven't seen here in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, with that performance last week, pretty disappointing. They had shots in that game to do something and just couldn't get it done. And I know with Carr being out, you're now stuck with E.J. Manuel. You never know what you're going to get with him. Buffalo made their lot with him, and hence the reason why he goes out to Oakland. He's a backup, couldn't make as a starter in Buffalo. The Flacco situation, the offense right now of this Baltimore team. I will say this, though, that as bad as Baltimore was last week and as bad as they were in London against Jacksonville, this is still a Raider team that kind of, with a backup quarterback against Baltimore in this defense, I just don't know if I trust Manuel. He's 0-5 against the spread, straight up and against the spread his last 5 as a starting quarterback. I don't think you can trust him. My lean is toward Baltimore plus the points. And, of course, Oakland has San Diego next week, and they're just 2-13 against the spread in games before facing their division rival. So my lean to be toward Baltimore, but until we see a little bit more, I think it's a stay-away game.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned the Chargers because I have brought them up all week long as, the embarrassment of nobody going to their stadium. They're 0-4. But, they're playing the Giants this week. Somebody's bound to win, and they're traveling across the country. They don't have any home games, as we found out in Carson. They're an interesting team for 0-4, and you wonder where are the bad teams and where are the points. Vegas still is not down on the Chargers, nor probably should they be at this point because they're bound to win at some point.
I say 2 0-4 teams take the dog. You got some really, really solid numbers backing Phillip Rivers and the Chargers. And listen, the Chargers have been in every single game this year. Rivers just can't seem to stop throwing interceptions, and that's why they're losing football games. If Phillip Rivers plays a clean game here, there's not a doubt in my mind that the Chargers come in here and beat the Giants, and the Giants go 0-5. Eli's 0-6 against the spread his last 6 games against AFC West opponents. On the flip side of that, Phillip Rivers against the NFC East, 7-1 straight up, 6-1 against the spread. So most certainly getting 3.5 with the Chargers, I think you have to take the Chargers plus the 3.5. If the Giants win, I think that it'll be by a field goal and you're set. Numbers most certainly support the dog here.
Certainly for a guy that makes short-term investments like you, Brandon, picking between bad teams like the Chargers and the Giants, and then, across the street we got the Jets and the Browns playing an early game. How do you assess these bad teams? Do you see these as good opportunities when you see bad teams playing each other and a number put on it, which at this point is a pick 'em in that game?
Well, I'll tell you what, if I get the situation, which I feel favors the team I'm looking at, and then if I get some alarming strong ATS numbers, I always say good money on bad teams don't mix, but at the same time, some value can be created, and I think we're getting value here, which by far the Jets are a better team. In researching this game and studying this game for some of my New York media, I came across a stat that if the Cleveland Browns allow 100 or more rush yards, they're 0-21 straight up. That's crazy. I mean, that you look at that and you go, they've lost 21 straight games in which they've given up 100 yards rushing. So do I think the Jets can get 100 on Cleveland? Yeah, I do, based on how Cleveland's been playing. And so with that being said, it's just in a near pick'em game where the team that wins is probably going to cover, I'll look for the Jets to hit that 100 mark and for Cleveland to go to 0-22 straight up.
A lot of short numbers here this week, right? And I guess part of this is teams like Buffalo being 3-1, teams that the Jets winning a couple of games. I mean, all of these lines are kind of tight this week.
Yeah, I think in recent memory, my mind can't go back 3 or 4 years when we've had an NFL card where only 2 games have a line of higher than 3.5. it's crazy to me the parity that Vegas feels is in play this week. You have Philadelphia at home -6.5, and then you have Pittsburgh at home -8 against Jacksonville. Other than that, every line is 3.5 or less. A lot of twos out there. Dallas -2 against Green Bay. Very intriguing game there.
Well, that's a great game, right? I mean, that's one we're going to be playing at the same time at 4 o'clock watching that game. But the Green Bay-Dallas game is the game of the weekend for sure.
Absolutely. And when you look at Dallas as a home favorite, most certainly they haven't been that great, especially when facing winning teams. But Green Bay 2-8 against the spread their last 10 as a visitor in this series. I think personally, and I remember saying this on your show last week, that I felt the highest scoring game, one of the highest scoring games in the NFL was going to be New England and Carolina. I said I couldn't believe that total wasn't in the 50s. It was at 49, and it flew over the posted total. Now this one here is 52. And I just don't see either defense stopping anybody. I just think Dak Prescott and that Dallas offense is going to have success, as is Aaron Rodgers against a beat-up Dallas secondary. I think both these teams could get into the 30s, set back, watch a over. I think this is going to be a very high-scoring game. Value on over the posted total in this one.
And I guess we get to the quarter pole here, and the Kansas City Chiefs have been anointed number one in the power rankings. Therefore, they'll go on the road down to Houston, where this kid just did nothing but score last week, and certainly even the week before that up in New England against the Patriots. The Houston team is the most intriguing team, I think, in the league at this point to not know what they are. We're all pretty convinced Kansas City's good. They go to Houston as a favorite on Sunday night.
Yeah, this is a really tough spot when you look at Kansas City. They've covered their last 5 games, 8-1. Their last 9 regular season games against the spread. Most certainly, you know about the miracle cover on Monday night that had, people asked me which side of that was I on. I was on the Washington side. It was amazing to watch in real time. You kind of just walk around numb. If I hadn't won on. If I had a winning weekend and didn't need the Monday night game, it would have stung a lot more. But my clients were in a position, and the game didn't hurt that much. It would have been nice to win it, but it's a team that's just figuring out a way to cover the number. I'm not too hyped on laying points on the road, but Andy Reid's 7-0. His last 7 is a road favorite going back to 2015. So as good as they've been, I just think you start covering games on Monday night like Kansas City did. You don't go against them right now. There's something magical. It's almost like why I use the Ravens in the Super Bowl. It's because with the way they won the game in Denver, and you remember the pass down the right sideline where Mike Smith got behind and the Ravens went on to win in overtime. And I said, you win a game like that, I said, you're destined to win the Super Bowl. There's something magical going on in KC. And if you play the game, you got to play KC. But after being stung by them on Monday night, I'm going to stay away.
We're still getting nods here for Jacoby Jones after that catch. The long lines, the Philadelphia 6.5 at home. There's another team, much like Buffalo, that's off to a 3-1 start. We're not really sure what to make of them. I think we're all pretty convinced Arizona's a beaten team right now, right?
I agree. As poorly as they've been playing and struggling, every game has just been pulling teeth. I mean, it's amazing that they start off the year in Detroit, they blow a lead there, they come back home and struggle. Can't remember who they played in week 2. Dallas goes in there and beats them in week 3, and then they struggle with the Niners last week. I just think it's a team that has no identity right now, and Bruce Arians made his bed with Carson Palmer, and I think he's got to second guess that. No running back. Most certainly, I think if you play this game, you would have to play Philadelphia or stay away. But when I say that, though, I say this. It wouldn't surprise me if Arizona went in here and got it done. But I will say this. The Cardinals have gone over the posted total 11 of their last 12 road games. So I would most certainly play the over than I would play a side.
The other long number on the Pittsburgh-Jacksonville game, I mean, are we at the point now where we respect Pittsburgh this much and don't respect Jacksonville? I mean, Pittsburgh's getting, I guess, coming into Baltimore, winning the way they did last week. If the thought is that the Ravens are a good team, that was a very, very impressive road victory, and they're going to start to move up the power rankings and certainly laying a lot of wood here against Jacksonville, who's looked okay.
Yeah, I think it's too much. We tend to forget what happened a few weeks ago in the NFL, how poorly Pittsburgh looked at Chicago, of what I think is a really bad Chicago Bears team. I really do. And I always say divisional dogs of 7 or more there's tremendous value there. Jags 8-3 against the spread. Their last 11 as an underdog away from home. So I think it's too many points. I like the way Jacksonville's playing right now. I like what their head coach Marone's got going on. Fournette getting some carries, and I think Pittsburgh wins. But I think Jacksonville hangs around in here and makes it a very interesting game.
Dude, love what you do. Appreciate you, man. We're going to send everybody out to BrandonLang.com for the all-access pass. You got a play of the weekend. You got a college. You got a game you like. Just give me something here, man.
Yeah, it's, we covered it, and I don't want to go back and beat a dead horse, but I'm pretty excited about Dallas and Green Bay over the posted total. I thought the best bet on the card, and I think I said it on your show, was the best bet was New England and Carolina over the posted total, and that game was a never-in-doubt, no-brainer over. This week, Utah Utes at home, plus the points over Stanford. Utah's undefeated. Catching a lot of wood, not a believer in Stanford, who got blown out at USC. The Utes at home, pretty solid play there.
All right, he is BrandonLang.com out on the internet. He's got all sorts of free picks, scores and odds, photo galleries, and can give you some help there as well. BrandonLang.com, the way to find him. Have a great week. Go make some money this weekend. We're going to sit around here and watch some football. How about that?
Got it. Thanks,
you got it,
Daddy.
You got it, man. BrandonLang.com, the way to find him. You can find me out in the Buy a Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world you happen to be. Our morning newspaper ships to your email inbox at 7 a.m. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness at PlanetFitness.com. It's still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life there, guaranteed. If there's any breaking news, anything with the injuries, anything happening that's big, you get it first on the WNST tech service, and we never spam you. Been doing this for a decade now. It's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. And, of course, Dennis Colazzos will be here on Thursday with the SSV on WNST. I'm out on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.